You're trapped in a life you never wanted, you're stuck in a 9-to-5 job you hate, your relationships are falling apart, and you can't remember the last time you were happy.
And trust me, we've both been there, hitting complete rock bottom and desperation and not knowing what the next move forward was. But through time, through discipline, and through some of the things that we're gonna be talking about, we've been able to build the life of our wildest dreams.
And today we're running multiple businesses that do tens of millions of dollars a year in revenue. We have phenomenal relationships with our families, and I can speak for both when I say this, we are internally happy people.
Yeah, and it did not happen overnight. I remember working those 9-to-5s and paycheck to paycheck, still not being able to provide all the needs for my family. Times where I couldn't even purchase, it sounds cliche, but purchase diapers for my own daughter.
There's 5 things here that have really helped us, and we're gonna give them to you in this video so you can help unfuck your life.
And I promise you those things are not gonna be generic. They're not gonna be like, get out of bed and make your bed and that's gonna fix all your problems. I know, Eric know, that's not the root cause of all your issues. So let's get into it.
I haven't made my bed in 20 years. So let me be completely honest with you. You've probably made some changes in your life. You may be waking up early, hitting the gym every day, maybe even reading books that you never considered reading before. But here's the thing, you do it for a week or two and then it's right back to those old habits.
And here's the thing, the very first thing that you're gonna have to do is kill your old self. And the reason being is that you need to sever the ties of what happened yesterday and keeps pulling you back and pulls you back to Eric's point maybe a week or 2 later because you feel so disciplined and motivated, but all of that dissipates and you go back to the old ways. The problem is you haven't killed your old self. You still believe somewhere deep inside of you that you are that person that was yesterday. Nothing's going to change if nothing changes.
Some of the ways I was able to kill my old self was changing my environment, right? I used to be heavily addicted to drugs. If I tried getting sober in the hood right next to the crack house, it would have been nearly impossible for me to do that. So that environment change was huge for me. And for me, that meant moving to a different location and separating myself from not only the place, but the people who were in those places, because they were not helping me grow in any aspect of my life. Mentally, physically, spiritually, emotionally, zero help was coming from them. I had to sever those ties in order to thrive.
And I remember when I helped you in that situation and gave you a spot to stay at just so you could get away from those people. But for you out there, I think it's important to know this is an extreme example. You may just be laying on the couch or just might be unmotivated, doom scrolling, not sure what to do with your life, but I promise you, that is just as vicious as what Eric went through. It's just a slow burn. The biggest regret, I don't want to speak for you, but for me would be imagine going through life, never achieving those things because I never tried. Because I just sat there and never attempted to actually take action on them. And that's how I knew it was time to get rid of the old, whether you're going through an example like Eric gave or whatever you're going through right now, whatever unsatisfaction you're going through right now, and change that. Say today's the day. Because if you say you'll do it tomorrow, tomorrow will never come.
Yeah, and for me, I had a lot of fear of making those changes. But the bigger fear, which outweighed the fear of change, was the fear of regret, of not making that change and just living in that same day-to-day life cycle that I only knew for so long. And not only did I have to cut out toxic people, but I also had to stop making excuses for myself. Because it was just excuse after excuse after excuse. I can't do this because of X. I can't make this happen because of Y. And those excuses just continue to leave me exactly where I was, right? Hopeless, unhappy, miserable, making shit money, just beat up and broken.
You know, when you're talking about the excuses, you know, it's really hard to get out of that victim mentality. And I'm not saying any of you aren't victims, but I know there's a lot of bad shit that happened to me when I was younger, and I brought that into my adult life, and it prevented me from ever leaving that. I kept playing the victim. I had to realize that I can't be the victim and the victor at the same time. And that's kind of severing that old life and coming into the new life. Coming to the realization like, yes, those bad things happened to me, but I could drop that baggage off right here and move forward, or I can continue to carry that and expect the same things, the same results, the same life that you may be living right now to continue into tomorrow, next month, next year, or worst case scenario for the rest of your life. So it's time to drop that baggage and start new.
Not only do you have to kill your old self, but you also have to set new standards. Yesterday's standards, last week's standards, last month's standards will no longer serve you because your standards now are higher. You set the bar at a different location.
And that's like super confusing for a lot of people because it was like, I'm trying to get out of my old life and it's like, what are these new standards? Like, what am I supposed to do? So the most important thing right now to do is to find somebody that you're attracted to, like somebody that you want to replicate, someone that you want to be like. And see what their standards are and start with that, because when I was making that switch, I didn't even know where to go, what to do, what these new standards were. And I had to find mentors, just regular people that I looked up to, and I got vulnerable and I asked, what can I do? How can I change? And I took what they told me, the information they provided, and I started to bring that into my life. But first, remember, I had to remove the baggage so I could make room for this new life. And that's where I started. It's okay to not know exactly where you're going, because I promise you for a long time I did it. I just started replicating what others that I wanted to be like were doing, and then I build up on top of that until I finally found my own way.
And it's an absolute morale boost, right? Because you start changing your behaviors and changing your habits, and you do that for 1 day, then 2 days, then 1 week, then 2 weeks, then 1 month, then 2 months. And it starts to build integrity within yourself along with confidence. And you become a better person. And it doesn't happen overnight. It's almost like taking a Tylenol. You take the Tylenol, you don't know when the headache goes away. It's not like, oh, at 7:58, my headache went away. No, you take the Tylenol and all of a sudden the headache goes away. Same thing with this. You make the changes and all of a sudden the pain goes away. You can't pinpoint the day the pain went away, but the pain disappears over time.
You don't even notice it. I mean, a lot of what's gonna happen is you'll start to change and people around you will notice it before you do. That's the cool thing. That's when the spark happens. You're changing and everyone else sees it and you're gonna be the last one to notice it. First thing, your mindset changes, then the behaviors change, then your actions change, and then everything external begins to change.
In my old life, I had low standards. And those low standards equated to shitty jobs, crappy relationships, and a terrible lifestyle. I had to say no to mediocrity. I had to completely change in my life what I considered acceptable, and I had to make a list of things that I would no longer say yes to. And some of those things that I could no longer say yes to was surrounding myself with people who weren't bringing me up, but were bringing me down.
It's so natural too. To be in that sort of situation where you might not even realize it. And this is one of the points we're about to come across shortly, but like the auditing of your environment, because people that may be bringing you down, you don't even realize that they are until you step out. It's like slowly drinking the poison. You don't even realize you're poisoning yourself, right? Like the lobster boiling itself in water. That was me. I didn't realize that my surroundings were actually killing me because it was that slow burn that you might not even see. The doom scroll, constantly wasting day after day, promising yourself that tomorrow's gonna be different, but it's not. I was there for too long. I wish I had made changes way earlier, and that's the reason why I'm speaking to you right now. And so if you're somebody who is not satisfied where your life is today, I'd ask you to step back for a moment and look at the 5 closest people around you, whoever they may be. 5 closest friends. I guarantee you, if you're unsatisfied with your life, those 5 people are as well. Are they successful? Are they hitting the gym? Are they healthy? Are they in healthy relationships? Because most likely, if you were in a situation that I was in, everyone who I was surrounding myself with, at least the closest people to me, were also not successful. We would mimic each other.
And if you're struggling and those 5 people around you are less successful, less motivated than you are, then you have a terrible group of people motivating you.
Well, who's gonna lift who up? That at the end of the day, who's gonna lift who up? Who's gonna motivate who? That was my situation at that time, is that I surrounded myself around the people who had the same low standards that I did, so nobody was moving forward and achieving anything.
Yeah. And then the smallest little win seems like a huge win because you're comparing it to these other lowlifes that you're surrounding yourself with. So if the people around you are obese or they're overweight, then the chances of you being unhealthy are extremely high. Yeah. If the people you surround yourself are lazy and unmotivated, then the chance of you also being lazy and unmotivated are extremely high.
Yeah, so it's like first thing you need to do is get out of that mental cage, but at the same time, you have to get outside of that prison that you put yourself in. I know it's so hard to understand it and see it at this time, maybe it's finally resonating with you and you do know about it, and that's great because awareness is the first step of all of this. When I first became aware that was a problem, that's where things started to change eventually, but at the end of the day, I didn't have a solid foundation, and that's why my life wasn't moving in the direction that I needed it to or I wanted it to move in. And the only way to have a solid foundation is to surround yourself around people that are gonna help you build that. And listen, I understand it's a bitter pill to swallow. It's not an easy transition to go from, hey, this is my life and I accept it, to, hey, this is my life, it's not where I want it to be, and I'm no longer going to accept it, and I need to look at myself and everything around me to see what's gone wrong. To get to that point of admittance, it's difficult, and then to actually accept it, even more difficult, but it's the only way through. There's no longer another route. There's no more going on the phone and doom scrolling, hoping things change. It's now up to you. And I'm just speaking from what I had to do, and I know from what Eric had to do. It's now up to you to push forward. And part of that pushing forward is an auditing of where your life is, where things are going wrong on a day-to-day. Because as corny as it might sound, it really is the little things that magnify and make you who you are today, whether it's what you're eating, what you're watching, who you're hanging out with, where you're putting all of your attention towards. That is what makes you you, and that is the reason your life is where it is today.
So when you're looking at the things you don't want in your life, you have to understand the things that you do want in your life. And for me, when I wanted to change my life, because I was at the lowest point I've ever been, I went super extreme. And I began making all these unrealistic commitments to myself. I'm gonna wake up every day at 7 a.m. and once I wake up, I'm gonna make sure everything's clean in the house, and then I'm gonna take a shower, and then I'm gonna go to a meeting, and then I'm gonna do this. And it was too rigid. It was too rigid for me to follow. So I had to step back a little bit and start with small commitments to myself, right? Let's just say, for example, waking up at 7 a.m. Can I do that for multiple days in a row before I start adding 5 other steps after that initial wake up? Because for me, to go from A to Z overnight was impossible. I had to go to A to B and then work my way up.
I have to just say to anyone watching this, like what Eric was saying, pat yourself on the back if you did the one thing that you haven't done. You don't need to do 10 things today. If you do one thing today to push you in the right direction that you wanted to do, pat yourself on the back. Okay, maybe you didn't eat so healthy today, but you went to the gym. Maybe you did a little doom scrolling, but somewhere in between for 2 hours, you worked on yourself, you educated yourself, you learned something new. Pat yourself on the back, because that is what successful people, that is how they get there. They built that belt, that notch. Like if you look at jiu-jitsu or karate, everyone starts at a white belt, and then as they learn the techniques and they learn the skill sets, and more importantly, they build the confidence, they move up. It's the same exact thing in your life. Start with one thing. Once you learn that skill set, once you master it, you move to the next. And what that's going to do is build your confidence. And I promise you, it's like a snowball effect. 1 leads to 2, then 2 leads to 3 and 4, and it multiplies.
Once you start making these changes, it's not like you're going to be a millionaire overnight. You're not going to make $1 million probably within the next couple months. But when you begin to implement this new lifestyle, you will become successful over time. Now, it's important that when that that success comes, it's easy to blow it. And when I first started making a little bit of money, it was easy for me to revert back to those old habits. And for me, maybe that was hitting the casino on the weekend and blowing through that money rather quickly. Because although I was able to have some success in my life, a lot of those old habits were still present in my life.
Yeah, and I think it's important for everyone to know that money is a multiplier. That's all it is. So if you're sad, money's gonna make you sadder. If you're happy, money will help you be happier. It just adds this multiplier effect to wherever you are in life. And so if you're not properly prepared with a solidified foundation, you can find yourself in situations that Eric was talking about, or for myself, it was poor eating habits and my business was starting to gain success, but my health was out of control. I found myself in a place where I wasn't taking care of myself.
Yeah, and an extreme example of this is lottery winners. You see lottery winners all the time win millions upon millions, sometimes tens of millions of dollars, and it's gone in a couple years because they're still living the old lifestyle they have. They haven't developed any skills to keep the money, to invest the money, to harvest the money, to allow the money to serve not only them, but the people around them, so it's gone almost immediately.
You're in the right place right now. I know you might not feel like you are. I know when I was there, I didn't, but you're in a place where you could build a solid foundation so that when you get to that level of success, the confidence is there and you're not gonna blow up your life. Instead, you're gonna continue in that trajectory that you're gonna start today. So let's make sure you get started. Money is not the only piece of the equation that equals success. It's about being a successful person. And I'm sure you know that. You've seen people who may have a lot of money, but have poor relationships with their spouse or their kids or what have you, or they're just plain assholes. So I promise you, like I said in the beginning, money is a multiplier effect. We're looking to have success in all areas of our lives.
And what that means is if you're starting today, you have to have a long-term mindset, which is challenging when you've never done anything long-term and you're stuck in your old ways. And everybody wants overnight success, but overnight success did not happen for us, and the chance of it happening for you are slim to none. It took us months to develop new habits and years to instill those new habits in our everyday lives, and now we've been doing this for over a decade. So it's the multiplier effect. Months turn into years, turn into decades, and if you continue to implement those new habits into your lifestyle, you will be a completely different person as time goes by.
Yeah, at the end of the day, it really is the compound effect. You know, everybody wants to have the results, but they don't want to put the time in for the investment. And by everybody, I mean myself too. Even though I know that long-term mindset is what got me to where I am today, of course I want the instant gratification, that lottery ticket winner having it all tomorrow. But I know that it would, to Eric's point, all crumble. It would all fall apart because I wouldn't have gone through the transition to be able to build this long-term mindset that I have today, where I could strategize and understand that I can invest small bits of myself every day without overstressing myself, without having to figure out everything in my life today. Just figure out small pieces every day and it will compound. And through time, that compounding will get me ahead of 95% of the world.
And so here's the thing, you're gonna make a lot of mistakes through this process. You're gonna fail, you're gonna fall, and that's okay. You can restart your day at any point in the day. You don't have to have a shitty morning that equates to a shitty afternoon. You can change your mindset and say, hey, yeah, it was a shitty morning, I'm gonna make it a phenomenal afternoon.
Or you might have a shitty full day, or you might go through periods where you have a shitty full week, and I don't wanna scare you, or a shitty full month. I've had periods of my life where there was a month that will go by where I wasn't doing the right things. I wasn't pushing myself. Maybe I was moping around because something went wrong in my business or in my life. I had expectations that weren't met. But then you pick yourself up. I picked myself back up. I dusted it off, and thank God I had this foundation that I built, these standards that allow me to not have to start at 0 again. Instead, I was starting at 80. And here's something that might sound strange, but it's cool. You're gonna fail. It's okay. It's okay. I mean, look where you are today. I failed so many times in the past 10 years and before that, but in the past 10 years when I built the foundation that we're talking about today, and then continue to stack upon that because I followed the steps that we've talked about today with you. When I fail now, I have a new baseline, so it's so much easier to wipe myself off, get up, and get going, and then stack up on top of that. So it's time for you to drop the baggage and unfuck your life by following these steps. First thing that you're gonna have to do is be aware and acknowledge your life is fucked up right now. And that's okay. Because as soon as you come to that awareness, now you know you have to do something. So what is it that you're gonna wanna do? The next thing that you're gonna want to do is look at your life, audit it, and understand that you're not a victim. That if you want to be a victor, bad shit has happened, but you need to sever the bad shit from your future so you can be the victor. You can't be both the victim and the victor. And then through the auditing process, you're gonna realize that it extends outside of just maybe you being messed up a little bit. There might be people, the ones that you're closest to right now, that are messed up and keeping you pulled back. So you're gonna have to make sacrifices and decide, am I gonna let these people go? It was really hard for me to let go of people that I consider friends, even when I came to the realization that they were pulling me down, that they were poisoning me, and I was poisoning them. It took me a long time to come to that, but once I understood, I had to sacrifice not only the baggage, I had to sacrifice those people, I had to sacrifice certain places that I would hang out at, maybe the pub. If you're from fucking UK, the pub, really? Hanging at the bar or hanging in a basement or just doom scrolling and unsatisfied with your life. You need to look at yourself first, then those around you, and make a commitment to yourself. But don't go extreme. Eric said it before, don't go extreme, go too rigid, don't be too hard on yourself. Start with small commitments and watch them compound and stack up. And then continue, because now you have this long-term mentality mind frame. So now continue with that and be okay with failing, because you understand you're gonna have a new baseline. So when you fall down, you're not gonna fall as far down anymore.
If you watch this whole video and you take no action and do nothing, that's on you. The steps to unfuck yourself are right here. Use them, implement them, and start changing your life today.